laser fire illuminates the dark expanse of space over the Mandalore system, painting streaks of red and green across a black canvas as starfighters dance in a deadly ballet. Below, the serene beauty of Concord Dawn belied the chaos unfolding above. A fleet of Sigurian slave ships, fresh from raids along the fringe sectors and burdened with a cargo of despair, cut through the void towards Hutt space, intending for a brief stop to barter human misery for their own profit. Unbeknownst to the Sigurians, today their path would be intercepted by a force moved not by greed, but by a profound moral code. The Way of Mandalore, an alternative sect of Mandalorian warriors, had monitored the slavers' route, a violation of their most sacred tenets of bondage. Determined to end this vile trade, the Mandalorians had launched a daring assault. Amidst the chaos of the space battle, a particularly fierce engagement unfolds aboard the lead Sigurian ship. Mandalorian warriors armored in the traditional Beskar, reflecting the starlight, bored with precision and fury. Blasters fired and sabers clash, and the sound of a battle echoes through the metallic corridors. The Sigurians, notorious for their cruelty, fight back with desperation, using the very slaves that they transported as human shields. Despite their ruthless tactics, they are systematically pushed back towards the Mandalorians, who advance with relentless resolve. One by one, the slavers fall until the ship is secured, leaving only the cries of the freed people in the aftermath. As the Mandalorians begin the somber task of tending to the survivors and transferring them to their own freighter, a tragic discovery is made in the lower decks. Amidst the carnage, a young mother lays lifeless, cradling a newborn child in a final protective embrace. The child, miraculously unharmed but tragically orphaned, is quickly surrounded by curious and concerned faces. "Does he belong to anyone?" a grizzled Mandalorian veteran asked, his voice softening as he kneels beside the small survival. Whispers pass among the rescued slaves, many of whom had seen the boy's mother fight to shield him during the firefight. "His name is Anakin." One of the slaves finally spoke up, her voice a mixture of reverence and sorrow. "The mother called him Anakin." Have you ever wondered what would have happened if Anakin had been raised as a Mandalorian Foundling? Well, if so, then today you are in for an absolutely bantatacular treat, because that's exactly what we'll be exploring in this video. In addition, if you like what you see, please like and subscribe, as every single supporter helps our small channel continue to grow and share Star Wars stories with the people who love them most. Now, without further ado, cuddle up with your big bowl of bantha stew, and let's dive right into today's video. With no one there to claim him, and with his eternal protector now silenced, the Mandalorians face a decision guided by their creed. The leader of the boarding party, a formidable warrior with a visor reflecting the flickering lights of the ship's damaged interior, finally nods. "He is orphaned. By the laws of Mandalore, he is now a foundling of our creed," he declares, lifting the infant into his arms. "This child is now under our protection. He's one of our own. He will be raised in the way of Mandalore, taught our paths, our skills, and our honor." As the Mandalorian fleet sets course away from the smoldering wreckage of the Sigurian ships, the stars bore silent witness to the end of one life and the beginning of another. Anakin Skywalker, rescued from the clutches of slavers, embarks on a new path that would forge him in the fires of Mandalorian strength and valor. Far from the corrupt influences of the Sigurian slave empire and the Hutts, under the watchful eyes of his new Mandalorian king, Anakin's future was now irrevocably altered. The galaxy, too, would feel these ripples of change, for in the heart of this foundling lay the potential to shift the very fate of the galaxy. 19 years after this interaction, Anakin had adopted the Way of Mandalore. He's now fully grown and clad in the shimmering Beskar armor of his Mandalorian kin. Anakin had carved a name for himself across the galaxy as a formidable bounty hunter. His reputation was built on precision and an unmatched prowess in combat, training from childhood in both traditional and modern Mandalorian techniques. In the waning days of the Republic, as the galaxy teeters on the brink of the Clone Wars, Anakin's services are in high demand. His impartiality in the conflict makes him a valuable asset. He accepts contracts from both separatists and the Republic, and is always commanding a high price due to his skills, which were spoken of in the same breath as those of Cad Bane and Jango Fett. One job, however, threatens to push his status even further within the dangerous circles of the Bounty Hunters Guild. His target? Aurra Singh, a notorious assassin and bounty hunter responsible for the deaths of multiple Jedi and Senate commandos. Intelligence had placed her on the rugged terrains of Devarin, leveraging her sniper skills in a sense of strategic attacks. Anakin arrives on Devarin under the cloak of dusk, his ship setting down in a craggy valley a few kilometers from Singh's last known location. Utilizing his advanced tracking skills, he moves through the jagged landscape with silent, practiced ease. Aurra Singh, ever wary and lethal as the rumors suggest, was quick to sense the approach of her hunter. She retreats to higher ground, her slug thrower and rifle in hand, peppering the area with calculated shots meant to slow Anakin's advance. Dual blasters at her hip, she is prepared for a close-quarters fight, should it come to that. Anakin, understanding the peril of underestimating Singh, utilizes every tool at his disposal. His jetpack, a signature piece of Mandalorian technology, propels him through the air and through the barrage of gunfire as he twirls, avoiding all of the shots, closing the distance between him and Singh with daft aerial maneuvers. As he nears, he launches a rocket, a distraction that hit near Singh, sending debris into the air and her sprawling to the ground. Landing smoothly at her side, Anakin advances on the disoriented Singh, his own blaster drawn and ready. With a swift movement, he disarms her, securing her weapons and neutralizing the threat that she posed. Among her belongings, he finds a crimson lightsaber, an artifact that piqued his curiosity and hinted at a past deeply entwined with the dark tales of the galaxy. Singh, now captured and defeated, is a significant prize, and as Anakin secures her for the transport back to his ship, he can't help but feel a shift within himself. The lightsaber he had confiscated felt both foreign and eerily familiar in his hands, its weight a reminder of paths not taken, of destinies altered by the slightest twists of fate. As Anakin returns to his ship, he places the lightsaber securely in his cargo hold. The weapon, while not part of his usual arsenal, represented a new mystery, one that might lead him further to understanding the deep currents flowing through the galaxy, and now through himself. The job was done, and Aurra Singh was delivered to her fate. But as Anakin navigates his ship away from Devarin, the stars ahead whisper of wars in the Force, pulling him even deeper into the unfolding drama of the Clone Wars. Anakin Skywalker, Mandalorian Foundling, bounty hunter, and now keeper of a Sith relic, was on the cusp of a new chapter in his life, one that might just redefine his understanding of power and the legacy of the galaxy. As Anakin's starship descends through the atmosphere of a bustling trading post on the Outer Rim, his mind replays the events of the past few weeks. Capturing Aurra Singh had thrown him into the spotlight, and with the hefty bounty he'd claimed, Anakin had invested in a significant upgrade to his arsenal. His new vambraces, outfitted by the true Mandalorians, were a testament to his commitment to his craft, featuring an array of tools that made him deadlier than ever. However, it was not the accolades or the credits that weighed on him now. It was the realization that his rising fame also painted a target on his back. This truth came crashing down around him during a confrontation with Cad Bane, a mercenary whose reputation was as notorious as Anakin's heroic. The duel had been fierce, with Anakin initially keeping Bane at bay using his newly equipped Whistling Bird micro-rockets. But the tide turned when Bane, the cunning adversary, hurls an ion grenade that disables Anakin's jetpack and most of his weaponry. As Cad Bane advances, all Anakin could rely on was his Mandalorian training and the crimson lightsaber that he'd kept from his encounter with Aurra Singh. Yeah, another challenger. I think that this will be an easy task. Let's see if the famed Mandalorian Anakin Skywalker is as good as they say. I hear after your killing of Aurra Singh, some of the bounty hunters put a massive price on your head, Skywalker, and I'm here to claim it. Skywalker shakes his head. You think you can kill me, Bane? You'll have to do better than some fancy ion grenades to keep me at bay. With his traditional weapons down, Anakin activates his lightsaber, the hum of its blade a stark contrast to the silence of his other failed gadgets. He deflects Bane's shots, but it's a close call, one that reminded him of his vulnerability and mortality. The fight ends with Anakin using the Force instinctively, a power that he barely understood, to turn one of Bane's own flamethrowers against him. Standing over the charred body of Cad Bane, lightsaber in hand, Anakin feels a churning mix of triumph and disquiet. Bane's last words echoed in his ears, a begrudging acknowledgement of Anakin's supremacy in their deadly profession, but instead of pride, Anakin feels a deepening sense of concern. Who had sent Bane? Was it truly the Bounty Hunters Guild? He hadn't heard anything about a price on his head. Who was hunting him down? Had he been lying? How many more would come? And what path was he, Anakin Skywalker, truly meant to follow? As he collected Bane's body to claim the bounty on his head from the Republic, Anakin feels the weight of his decisions more acutely than ever. Each step towards fulfilling his duty as a bounty hunter seems to lead him further from his understanding of his place in the universe. The lightsaber, a symbol of life might have led, feels heavier with each passing moment. Leaving the trading post, Anakin looks towards the stars. They seem to call to him, whispering of a destiny not yet fully embraced. Was he merely a bounty hunter, or was there something more, something deeper that he's meant to explore? The turn in his journey was subtle, yet profound. Anakin decides that while he would continue to honor his commitments and his Mandalorian heritage, he must also seek understanding of his purpose beyond the battlefields and bounty lists. He would begin to explore the mysteries of the Force, to understand how his power connected to his Mandalorian skills, and, ultimately, to discern his true role of the larger tapestry in the galaxy. As his starfighter climbs back into the blackness of space, Anakin Skywalker sets a course not just for his next job, but for a journey into the depths of his own soul, a quest that one day might reconcile the way of Mandalore and the ways of the Force. When Anakin returns to his homeworld of Mandalore, he finds the bustling streets of Sundari marred by recent devastation, a bombing that had shaken the core of Mandalore and its people. Anakin Skywalker, now a revered figure among Mandalorians, stands amidst the ruins, his visor reflecting the charred remnants of what had once been a lively market district. As he surveys the scene, the weight of his responsibilities press upon him. His investigation into Cad's employer had gone cold, but now a more pressing threat demanded his attention. The resurgence of Death Watch. Death Watch's brutal history with Mandalore was not something that Anakin can overlook. Their tactics had always been ruthless, but the bombing of Sundari was a grim escalation that could not go unanswered. His resolve hardens, and Anakin vows to protect his adopted people and seek justice for the attacks. While he didn't always agree with some of Duchess Satine's more progressive philosophies about peace and a lack of combat, he does think that Mandalore deserves unity, and this was not the answer to their problems. Upon returning to Concord Dawn to gather his thoughts and plan his next moves, Anakin receives a message from Duchess Satine herself requesting his presence on Mandalore. His reputation as a tactician and warrior had reached the Duchess, and she hoped his skills could help secure her people's safety. Anakin does not hesitate. He dons his Beskar armor, feeling his weight as a reminder of his duties and the protection that it offered him and his ideals as a Mandalorian. In the capital, Anakin meets with Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, who had been dispatched by the Republic to assist in the investigation. Anakin's initial skepticism about collaborating with the Jedi, beings he had always regarded with a certain wariness and contempt, was tempered by his recognition of Kenobi's genuine commitment to peace, justice, and Mandalore. Their conversation quickly turns to matters of strategy and shared concern over the destabilizing influence of Death Watch. During one of their meetings, in a rare moment of personal reflection, Anakin reveals to Kenobi the details of his encounter with Cad Bane. He confesses how, in a moment of desperation, he had instinctively used the Force to save his own life, something that he still didn't fully understand. It's a confession that surprised both men. For Anakin, it was an admission of his fear and potential, and for Kenobi, it was a revelation of Anakin's untapped connection to the Force. Sensing a teachable moment, Anakin requests Kenobi's guidance in harnessing the Force. He believes that understanding this power could be crucial in overcoming the Death Watch, along with other threats to Mandalore and the galaxy. Kenobi, although initially hesitant, recognizes the urgency of Anakin's request and the potential benefit of having a Force-sensitive ally in times of impending conflict. He agrees to train Anakin in the ways of the Force, a decision that brought them to the clandestine meetings on Mandalore or Coruscant, far from the prying eyes of the Jedi Council. Their sessions were a revelation for both. Kenobi is astounded by Anakin's natural affinity for the Force, his ability to quickly grasp and apply complex Force techniques. His surprise grows when a routine check reveals Anakin's midichlorian count to be extraordinarily high, surpassing even that of Master Yoda. This discovery underscores the significance of their training and the role that Anakin might play in the galaxy's balance of power. As their secret lessons progress, Anakin grows in strength and understanding, his abilities not just sharpening his Mandalorian warrior skills, but also as a new Force user. This new knowledge emboldens him, fueling his determination to protect Mandalore from the shadows of its past and the looming threat of Death Watch's return. As Anakin and Kenobi part ways after one of these training sessions, the stakes are clearer than ever. Anakin is not just preparing to face his known enemy in Death Watch, but by training in the Force, he's also stepping into a larger arena, one that might eventually lead him to confront his past and shape the future of both the Mandalorian and the Jedi paths. The journey ahead was fraught with peril, but Anakin Skywalker, Mandalorian Foundling, and emerging Jedi protege would meet it head-on. Months after Anakin's training with Obi-Wan, the ominous clouds of war finally gather over Mandalore as Death Watch under Pre Vizsla seize control in a violent coup. Duchess Satine is overthrown, and Vizsla declares himself the new Mandalore, ruling with an iron fist and wielding the symbolic Darksaber with the approval of the people. This dark turn of events spurs Anakin and his tribe into action, leading them to depart from their base on Concord Dawn with a clear objective: to restore Mandalore's rightful leadership and to end the tyranny of Death Watch. As Anakin's ship approaches the shadowed surface of Mandalore, tension fills the cockpit. The plan was straightforward, yet perilous. While a faction of the tribe stirred unrest within the city to distract Death Watch's forces, Anakin would lead the main assault team directly to the heart of the beast, the palace itself. The city was a sprawling fortress, but the Mandalorians are adept in moving at unseen lengths, slipping through the urban sprawl like phantoms. The distraction works perfectly, drawing out a bulk of Death Watch's commandos and leaving the palace's defenses thinned. Anakin's team exploits this, breaching the palace with explosive precision and advancing towards the throne room with relentless determination. Upon entering the Grand Throne Room, Anakin is met with a fierce scene of combat. In that moment, he sees Pre Vizsla locked in a deadly duel with a formidable Zabrak wielding a red lightsaber, a double-bladed one nonetheless. A spectacle that momentarily rooted Anakin to the spot, his eyes glued to the scene. The power and ferocity with which the Zabrak fought was unlike anything that Anakin had ever witnessed. It wasn't long before Vizsla faltered and falls, decapitated by a swift, merciless stroke. His last words being, "Only the strongest shall rule Mandalore." The throne room falls silent as the Zabrak turns, lifting the Darksaber and declaring himself the new ruler of Mandalore. In that moment, Bo-Katan Kryze, Vizsla's lieutenant and Satine's sister, ignites the room into chaos again by opening fire on the Zabrak, whom she identified bitterly as Maul. Seizing the moment, Anakin joins the fray alongside Bo-Katan, lending his combat prowess to resist Maul's claim. As the battle escalates, Maul and Anakin end up clashing fiercely, lightsaber against lightsaber, as Anakin pulls out the red one that he had been training with over the past few months. Maul, using both his red saber and the Darksaber, presses Anakin hard. Anakin, relying on his Mandalorian training and Force techniques taught by Kenobi, manages to hold his own, using his jetpack and arsenal to counter Maul's overwhelming power. The duel reaches a critical point when Maul, tapping deeper into the dark side, seizes Anakin with a Force choke, lifting him into the air. Struggling for breath, Anakin is forced to drop his lightsaber, defenseless against the approaching Maul, who is already ready to deliver the killing blow. In that moment, with Anakin's life hanging by a thread, Obi-Wan Kenobi bursts into the throne room. His blue lightsaber is ignited, and he charges towards Maul, driven by a mix of duty to protect Anakin and a deep-seated desire for retribution against the Sith Lord who had tormented him since Naboo. Maul, now facing the Jedi who defeated him many years ago face to face for the first time in a while, welcomes this new challenge with a sinister grin, his focus shifting as he prepares to engage Kenobi in what promised to be a fierce rematch. This confrontation at the heart of the throne room of Mandalore marks a turning point, not only in the battle for the planet, but also in Anakin's personal journey. Caught between his Mandalorian heritage and growing connection to the Force, Anakin finds himself at the heart of a conflict that would determine the fate of Mandalore, his adopted home, and perhaps shape his destiny forever. As Kenobi and Maul circle each other, their lightsabers ready, Anakin knew that the coming moments would be pivotal in the endless dance between light and dark, and for the very soul of Mandalorian society. In that moment, the throne room of Mandalore was a place where many destinies were intersecting, and powerful warriors converge in a storm of fury and steel. As Obi-Wan and Maul engage in their ferocious dance that is as old as time itself, Anakin Skywalker is faced with his own battle against Maul's fearsome brother, Savage Opress, who comes from the shadows to take him on. Recovering from Maul's attack, with a defiant hiss, Anakin grabs his lightsaber, igniting it as he squares off against Savage, rubbing his neck. The younger Zabrak is a daunting opponent, his brutal strength outmatching Anakin's own. Realizing that a direct confrontation would be futile, Anakin relies on his Mandalorian training and the nimble tactics that had saved him countless times before. Retreating strategically, Anakin unleashes a barrage from his Vambrace's arsenal. Whistling birds dart through the air like deadly sparrows, striking Savage with precision and forcing him to stagger. Anakin follows with a series of darts, each one of them aimed to slow and disorient his formidable foe. Seeing an opportunity, Anakin targets Savage's lightsaber hilt with a fiber cord shot, intending to disarm the Zabrak. But Savage's reaction is swift and fierce, his raw power turning the tables by pulling Anakin towards him instead. In a desperate move, Anakin draws his lightsaber again and, in a close struggle, drives the blade deep through Savage's stomach. The Zabrak's massive form shudders, then collapses, his life extinguished onto the cold floor of the throne room. The death of his brother tipped Maul into a blind rage. His scream echoes off the walls, a primal sense of loss and fury conveyed through his words. He unleashes a torrent of Force energy, pushing Kenobi back and turning his full wrath towards Anakin. The air crackles with dark energy as Maul reaches out with the Force, intent on crushing Anakin as he had a moment earlier. But Anakin, with his connection to the Force deepened by his training and intense pressure of combat, reacts with unprecedented speed. Tapping into the Force, he lifts Maul into the air himself, reversing the chokehold. The maneuver catches Maul completely off guard, his body suspended helplessly as Anakin's power holds him immobile. This pivotal moment allows Kenobi to act. With a swift motion, he severs Maul's legs, revisiting the fate that he had once delivered on Naboo. As Maul falls, Kenobi also disarms him literally, ensuring the Sith Lord could no longer pose a threat. Maul lies defeated on the broken floor. His reign of terror ended as suddenly as it had begun. Anakin stands over him, his breath heavy, his eyes reflecting the harsh light of the throne room. In a decisive motion, Anakin picks up the Darksaber from Maul, claiming it, lifting it from where it had fallen. Holding on to the ancient weapon, he declares, "This ends now, Maul. Mandalore will no longer live under your shadow." The Darksaber gleams in Anakin's grip, a symbol of the victory and commitment to Mandalore that he had. As the room falls silent, save for the distant echoes of the battle outside, Anakin feels the weight of his choices. He had stepped into a war as a bounty hunter, a Mandalorian Foundling with no allegiance to the Force's deeper call. Yet, through the battles fought and alliances forged, he'd emerged as something more, a warrior guided by a newfound purpose, standing at the crossroads of his past and his future. With Maul defeated and the Darksaber in hand, Anakin had not only ended a tyrant's rule, but had also set the stage for a new era on Mandalore, one where the shadows of the Sith would no longer darken its doorsteps. As he turns to Kenobi, a nod of mutual respect passes between them, a recognition that this victory was not just a personal triumph, but a moment that would echo through the halls of Mandalore's history forever. A turning point for both of them, and for the wonderful planet of Mandalore itself. In the aftermath of Maul's capture, Obi-Wan and Anakin can both feel an impending, palpable sense of danger deep in their bones. Kenobi, having failed to break Maul's resolute silence during the interrogation, exits the dimly lit cell with a grim expression on his face. The Sith Lord, or former Sith Lord, had withstood every single question with a smoldering fury, a testament to his unyielding spirit, yet betrayed by a flicker of fear at the mention of his former master's name, Darth Sidious. As Kenobi rejoined Anakin, his gaze was troubled. "We're not done yet," Kenobi murmured, as he feels a sinister shift in the Force, a darkness approaching that Maul was fearing. "Something worse is coming, Anakin." Anakin nods, his instincts already on edge as they move towards the landing platform. The air grows colder, the night darker, and they encountered the aftermath of a new threat. Several Mandalorian supercommandos lay defeated, slain by a dark enemy, a grim welcome laid out by a hooded figure whose presence commanded the shadows. In the darkness, the figure turns, looking at them, his twin lightsabers igniting and his face hooded, but there was no doubt that this was Darth Sidious himself, the air around him crackling with darkness. Sidious looks at them, smiling, the energy from his twin lightsabers crackling in the air, a red glow stark against the night. Anakin and Kenobi respond in kind, igniting their own lightsabers and allowing them to hum to life as they prepare to confront the true architect of the galaxy's descent into chaos. I only expected to see Maul and his brother here, but a Jedi and a renowned Mandalorian warrior in the same place? I think you've done my job for me already, and now I shall finish both of you. Not if we have anything to say about it, Sidious, Obi-Wan says. I certainly won't let a Sith defeat me, Anakin replies. Their duel begins, with Sidious lunging towards them, a dark fury in his eyes as he cackles, drawing on the dark side of the Force for his energy. Their duel is intense and ferocious. Sidious moves with a speed and skill that dwarfs anything Anakin or Kenobi could have encountered before. Initially targeting Kenobi, Sidious's relentless assault tested the Jedi Master's defenses to their limits. Anakin, using a blend of his Force prowess and Mandalorian combat training, manages to hold his ground against the Dark Master. He deploys his Vambrace's shield projector to deflect energy blows and launch a massive series of whistling birds at Sidious, though the Sith Lord dispatches of them with terrifying efficiency, barely even looking as he deflects them out of the way with his left lightsaber. The battle reaches its peak when Sidious, seizing a momentary upper hand, strikes down Kenobi, wounding him severely. As Kenobi falls, Sidious turns his full attention to Anakin, sensing the young Mandalorian's raw potential. With a sinister offer, Sidious proposes that Anakin join him. I sense great potential in you, Mandalorian. Together, we could rule the galaxy. The Sith and the Mandalorians once more dominating like we did in the days of old. Together, we could bring Mandalore to the forefront of galactic politics and bring this pathetic republic to its knees. Nobody would dare challenge the might of Mandalore and the Sith. Anakin looks at him, thinking about this for a moment. But his resolve is hardened by the lessons of his past and the Mandalorian creed that he'd sworn to protect. So he remains silent. His hesitation is a ruse, buying some time as the combined forces of Death Watch and the tribe surround them. Sidious looks around, sensing their presences. Ah, you seek to kill me. Well, I will kill someone dear to you first. He smiles and roars towards Kenobi, ready to strike the finishing blow. However, Anakin acts in that moment. He uses his flamethrowers as a distraction, and he endures the flames reflected back at him from Sidious, his Beskar armor taking most of the blow, as he launches a desperate final assault. With a desperate cry, Anakin drives both the lightsaber and the Darksaber through Sidious's defenses, bringing the Sith Lord to his knees. The final blow is swift and decisive, cutting Sidious down and ending his reign of terror. As the smoke clears, Anakin rushes to Kenobi's side, aiding the injured Jedi Master. Around them, Mandalorians cheer, united for the first time in generations by the courage of a foundling who had risen to become their protector. Anakin stands among them, not just a hero of Mandalore, but also a beacon of hope for the rest of the galaxy. With the fall of Sidious, a new era was dawning on the galaxy. Mandalore could begin to heal from the wounds created by Vizsla and Maul, and the Republic, alerted to the threats lurking in its own shadows, could fortify itself against future darkness. Anakin, once a child saved from slavery, had forged a legacy defined by honor and strength, proving even the darkest of pasts could lead to a luminous future. Finally, as the sun sets over Coruscant, casting long shadows from the spires of the Jedi Temple, where Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi stand, contemplating the city sprawling endlessly before him. They had returned as heroes, their mission culminating in the revelations that had shaken the very foundations of the Galactic Republic. Beneath these spires of peace, the remains of Darth Sidious, once revered as Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, lay alongside those of his less fortunate apprentices, Maul and Savage Opress. These relics of a darker time were secured within the temple's iron walls, with Maul frozen in carbonite, a grim reminder of the fragility of trust and the price of power. The Senate chambers had been a maelstrom of outrage and disbelief as the truth about Palpatine's dual identity unraveled. Accusations initially flew at Kenobi and Anakin, branding them as traitors, but the tide turned with the overwhelming evidence that they presented. The recordings, the testimonies, and the undeniable proof of Palpatine's machinations laid bare his plans to manipulate the Republic and orchestrate a galaxy-wide conflict. An investigation unveiled the depth of deception, revealing that Palpatine had indeed been orchestrating both sides of the war. His contingency plan, including the infamous Order 66, were all exposed, leading to galactic uproar. Yet from these ashes of betrayal, a new order is forged. Anakin and Kenobi, now cleared of all accusations, lead a decisive strike against Sereno, capturing and bringing to justice the last of the Sith loyalists, Count Dooku. His execution marked the end of the war and the beginning of a new era of peace as negotiations begin with the Outer Rim systems, who had joined the separatist cause. With the Sith extinguished, the Jedi Order, under the guidance of Master Yoda and with the support of the Republic, begins to rebuild. Anakin, his destiny as a chosen one now realized, was offered an honorary place among the Jedi Knights. Recognizing his unique position, he chooses to bridge his Mandalorian heritage and his Jedi accolades by accepting the honor, but delegating his leadership of Mandalore to House Kryze, focusing on his training and his new role within the Galactic Republic. This new alliance, a federation formed in the remnants of the Old Republic, the Separatist Parliament, and the Neutral Systems coalition under the leadership of Mandalore, promise a future built on cooperation and peace. The Republic changes its name to the Galactic Alliance, focusing on preserving everything that made the Republic special, but going a step forward and purging the corruption. Anakin, together with his wife Padmé Amidala, whom he marries shortly after the events on Mandalore, split their time between Coruscant, Naboo, and Mandalore, raising the new generation destined to lead during these times of peace. As day fades into night, Obi-Wan, now retired and married to Duchess Satine on Mandalore, joins Anakin on the balcony. They look over a city that once teemed with covert strife but now thrived under the banner of unity, yet still had the Mandalorian warriors united and ready to protect their planet. Sometimes I wonder about the path not taken, Anakin mused, his voice tinged with reflection. Obi-Wan nods, his eyes crinkling with a smile. And yet, every path we chose led us here. Led us to peace. Below them, the lights of Coruscant flicker like stars brought down to Earth, a mirror of the peace that now spanned the galaxy. In this moment of calm, Anakin and Obi-Wan now understand something big. Peace is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of a promise of hope, one that they had fulfilled together. As the galaxy turned, so too would its stories, with Anakin and his family at the heart, the guardians of a peace hard won, and one that is deeply cherished.